Hello guys, welcome to the third day of the DMVC Framework week. I hope you all are getting to follow the week quite well. I hope everything is clear. And if there's something that is unclear, if you have doubts or problems with any of the step by step we are giving, please let us know so we can help you with whatever problem you have. Okay. So let's talk more about what we are going to talk today. Well, again, let's talk about the week schedule. So day one, we installed the framework, the DMVC, and made a hello world. On day two, we created a CRUD using the ORM that comes with the framework, and also like already having the API ready and everything. And today we are creating the view with the red approach. Guys, if you didn't follow the first and second days, please stop right here, go there, watch the first and second day, because it's really important, right? On the first day, we make like this leveling of knowledge. So if you don't know the framework at all, there we will teach how to install the framework, some basic configuration on how to do things. On the day two, we made a CRUD, the API, and today we will be using that API made on day two. So it's really important that you follow the first 2 days so you have the right material to follow today and the next days as well. So on day 4, tomorrow, we will learn how to document your API. We will be using Swagger, which is a standard for documenting APIs and everything. When I say standard, it's because it's the market standard. Like everybody knows that. And on day 5, we will learn how to deploy the application, your API and everything in a IIS server using HTTPS, SSL certificates and everything. So let's go. But before going to code, I want to remember you about our board. Please go there. Don't forget to drop your LinkedIn URL profile on the last column of the board. Also, all the source code that we are making, you will find there. The material from the previous days, you will also find in the board. Okay, don't forget about that. So let's get down to code. Okay, guys. So this is a Delphi Sydney installation. Okay. And we will be using actually the same project that we did yesterday. So let's just open up the project that we had from yesterday. You see, it's just here. We can just run it. The only difference is that here we are running on the port 9000. Okay, the rest is untouched. So let's add a new project here, a VCL application project. Yeah, let's save it already. We save on the same folder following the same structure, but now instead of server, we will make the client folder. Inside this folder, src, view, and the name of the class we are working on. In this case, view.customer. And the project, again, we save it and it will be client VCL. Okay, nice. Now let's add a T button and a T memo on the form. And the idea here is that when I click this button, it will call my JSON API and will bring the data and just spit it inside this T memo. Let's just rename the controls here. Well, done. Everything saved. Let's start coding for real. So again, this button would just call our API and would just spit out all the results inside a memo. Let's go. So first thing, we need a REST client to be able to call the API. So let's make a variable here. L REST client will be the type T REST client. But beware, this REST client is not the same REST client as the data snap. If you come here and search for REST client, this one is about a data snap REST client. We need the REST client from the DMVC framework. So let's add on the uses clause the MVC framework dot REST client. Okay, so now you can use the REST client from the framework itself. So LREST client colon equal T REST client dot create. And now it's asking for two parameters. It's host and port. In this case, port 9000. Now we already make this memory management thing. Let's free the object in the end. Now this REST client has this do get function that will make a get request in that host, and then you have to pass the URI, the endpoint. In that case, /API/customers. And the second parameter is like the parameters of the URL. In this case, we don't have any, so we pass an empty array. The result of this call is a REST response. So let's make a variable here of the type iREST response. And we will assign the result of this doGet to this LGet response. We don't have to free the LREST response because since it's an interface, since it's out of scope, it will be automatically freed by Delphi. So LREST response dot body as string. Why? Because we got the result and we just converted to a string, and we put that inside the memo. Let's see if it works. Well, it's bringing here. You can see this is the result, and this is what we have in our database. So it's already working pretty well. Okay, now that we have the records here, we cannot do anything with them. So yeah, we have to put the result in a DB grid, for example, so we can actually manipulate data, right? So this is the next thing we will do. But before doing that, let's organize our code a little bit, okay? So it doesn't get all messy later, okay? And later you will understand better why of that. So let's create here a data module, okay? This data module, let's save it already. It will be our controller. So let's create a folder controller here, and let's name it like controller.customer. Okay. So all of that, this is not responsible of the view. Let's put it in the controller. Let's put in our data module. Okay. And here, let's make a function that will be do get all, and this would just get all customers, and it would turn a string that what we expect to put inside the memo there. Let's just paste it. Now we don't have the units in a use clause, so yeah, let's just cut it from here because we don't need it here anymore. Let's paste it here. Oh yeah, well, there's already uses clause there. Nice. So yeah, it's complaining about the mem JSON because yeah, we don't have the mem JSON here. But so let's replace it for the result because this is the result of our function, right? Okay. Other thing, here we have this magic strings, as we call it. This is a code smell. Normally what you do is you create a constant with those values, so you don't have like loose strings hanging in your code. Okay, this is just good practice. This is clean code. Okay, so yeah, we have now you have the constant host port. Now let's also get for the endpoint. It's pretty much fixed. So now every place I need the same values, you just reference to the constant. So you don't have any risks of mistyping something. Okay. And of course, when this is just an example, so we are trying to be really quick and productive here. If you are running a production environment, of course you want to read that from a file, from a configuration file, or from a database, something like that, right? But yeah, for now, let's just make it here because if we need it somewhere else, we just use it. Yeah, I'm getting rid of the global variable there as well. Let's rename the data module as well. DM controller customer. And yeah, mind this. We are declaring the REST client here, and we will need this REST client for pretty much every operation. So yeah, let's extract this to a function. Okay, let's create a function here. The do get REST client. It will just return the T REST client itself. And the result will be the creation, the new instance of the TREST client. And here we just replace to the do get REST client. Nice. Okay. Now, here in my button, we don't need anymore to make all that stuff. We just have to use the controller, and well, since now we have the controller. Now we have to instantiate the controller actually here. So let's put these uses in the interface section. And let's make this a private variable of the type let's just copy the name. DDM controller customer. And on the onCreate of this form, let's just instantiate the data module. And here we'll set the owner as self. So when the form is destroyed, then this data module will also be freed. So on the click of the button, instead of making all that stuff, we just make the fcontroller.do get all and assign the result to the memJSON.text. Okay. Okay, let's just little error here because we get rid of that global variable in the controller, and we actually don't need to create a controller here. So let's just also delete the line. And now you see it's compiling, it's working still. So that means that we didn't change the functionality itself. We just reorganized some code. And now let's find out how we put all this data in a data set. Let's go back to the controller. And let's add a Fdm Table. The Fdm Table, it works just like a T-client dataset. Okay. So let's just name it. Will be Fdm customer. Well, after doing that, let's add the fields, and let's make the fields in the dataset to match the JSON fields. Okay. Also respecting the casing of the names. Let's quickly add it. Okay. So yeah, notice that we actually wrote the fields respecting the case. Like the ID is lowercase, code is with the capital C, and so on. Now that we have the fields there, let's create a procedure here that will be refresh data. This procedure will just get the data from the JSON and will populate our data sets with that data. Okay. So, well, we have the let's just close and open the data set first. Mem customer open. And after that, we have to actually get the JSON, right? And this is just the function that we have that will return that raw string, right? The MVC framework has a class helper for datasets. And well, let's just separate this uses so it's better, it's clearer. And there's this class helper from the framework itself for datasets, and it's the MVCFramework.dataset.utils. And here, the Fdm customer will have this .load from JSON array. And why the JSON array? Because as you see here, we have actually a JSON array. So we load from JSON array, and what is the array? It's the do get all, which goes to the API, gets everything, and returns that string. That string is your JSON. The second parameter, we will just explain that later. And now we have to show this information in our view, right? Let's delete this memo. Let's put a DB grid. Here in the grid, we also need a data source, of course. And the data source connects to the mem table and the DB grid to the data source. And now in the bottom, we will not do that anymore. We don't even have the mem JSON anymore. And now we actually have to do refresh data from the controller. Okay. Now there's error. Okay, yeah. Here it's do refresh data, and the controller is only refresh data. So let's make a Ctrl-Shift-E, which is a refactor function of Delphi. And here we can easily rename all occurrences of this procedure. Replace the name of the procedure. So f controller do refresh data, and it will bring everything to the data set, and the data set is already connected to the DB grid. So we should be able to see the data in our DB grid. Okay, and here you see that only the ID and the rating are being shown here. Why? Well, you remember that we made the fields respecting also the names of the fields inside a JSON string. The second parameter from this load from JSON array, if you check here, is a field name case, the type DMVC name case, and the default is NC lowercase. That means that the framework will put all the fields from JSON to lowercase and try to match with the fields in your data set. So it's failing there. And what we want, it actually that it just gets the fields from the JSON and puts in our data set, because we actually made the names respecting the case from the JSON. So let's add to the uses clause another unit from the framework, which is the MC framework serializer.commons. And now we can pass it as a parameter, DMVC namecase dot as is. So it will just get from the JSON, no conversions at all, no calculations or whatsoever, and just try to match with the names in our data set. Okay, let's give it a run. And now you see all the data is there. The node field is empty because it is currently empty into the database. So you see that the rest is working. Now that we have the data already into the data set and it's working properly, we can start playing with the actual operations. So let's go to the view, and let's set it a DB Navigator. Remember, this is red. So let's just connect it to the data source, and well, done. We already have it. But since the Fdm table works like the client dataset, it works in memory. So it will reflect the data in memory, but it's not persisted in your API. It's not persisted in your database. Okay, we have to implement the methods that will actually send data to the API that will actually persist the updates to the database. So first thing, let's make a new procedure that will save data. So do save data. And we will pass a data set for that of the type T dataset. So any dataset will do. Ctrl-Shift-C. So in the API, to add a new record, we use post, and to update, we use put. So how do we know which one we are doing here? So if a dataset dot state equals to ds insert, it means we are inserting. So we want a post request to the API. But if it's ds edit, it means we will actually update a record. So we will send a put request. Okay, so now how do we do to actually send the data to the API? Okay, so we will need a REST client, of course. And now you will start to understand why we actually made a function for that. So now the REST client gets the do get REST client. Let's put a try finally here. Just free the REST client in the end. And the REST client will do the work, right? Because here we have a method which is dataset insert. Okay, so being in an insert, we will just pass the resource. And what is the resource here? The endpoint, right? And the data, which is the dataset. So we pass the endpoint, the dataset, and it will already send a post request. But here in edit, instead of dataset insert, it will be dataset update. So then it will already know that is an update. So it will pass a put request. But here we also have to pass the ID of the resource. So we will pass the field by name ID of this dataset, because remember in the API, the put request is expecting the ID of the record to update. Okay, so now here in the dataset insert, we'll make a post, and the dataset update will make a put using this ID. So in here we are using tDataset instead of Fdm Table, because this is a generic code. Okay, this is not specific for the FireDuck dataset. So if you use a client dataset here, it will just work the same. Okay. So now to intercept this action of inserting or editing, let's use the event before post. So the on before post, we will just do save data with the dataset itself. So now it should work already. But here we have a problem. When we are opening the dataset and we are loading the data, the do refresh, when it loads from the JSON, it will start making inserts into the dataset. So that means it will call the do save data, and it will start persisting duplicated data in our database, calling our API when doing that. How do we solve that? How can we? Well, we have first to make sort of a signal So our function, our procedure knows that we don't want to insert new stuff. We are just loading stuff, right? So it will not call the post there. So well, first let's move those functions to the private part because they are not public actually, and let's make this this private variable floading boolean. Okay, and what we're gonna do is when we are actually loading data from the API, we make the floading true, and then well, let's put that in a try finally, and in the end the floading is false. So now in our do save data, we say that if the floading is true, just go away, just exit the procedure, don't do anything, because we are just loading data, we are not actually inserting something in the data set. Let's see if it works. Got everything there. So in theory, we have the insert and update here already. So let's create a new one. Let's put any code here, 003. Let's use Embarcadero from Brazil. So now let's post it. Refresh. Get all. And look that. It created the record, but all the other fields actually are empty. Why? Let's see why. This is on purpose, okay? Because this is a really common problem that you could have. This is a problem related to the field names. Look, we created the fields with respecting the same as the JSON, right? But the thing is, this dataset insert, let's see what it does. Look, we are in the framework unit, and here it passes the adataset.asJSON object. And what does it does? Let's see. This method has a parameter, the field name case, that by default is lowercase. So that means that it is converting our dataset field names to lowercase and sending to the API, but the API will not understand those fields in lowercase, okay? So how can we fix that? Well, instead of using the dataset insert, we can just call the same doPost that will make a post request to the API. So it will be l/REST-client.doPost with the same parameters, and here you can pass the same thing, the DMVC namecase.NCSIS. So then you are passing with the same names your dataset has, and it will also get to the API the same. But yeah, if you could say, yeah, but I really want to use the dataset insert. I don't want to write all this extra code for my application to work. So how can we fix that? Okay, so let's save it now. And let's go back to the API. Let's first close it here. Let's go back to the API project. In the model, in the model, we will declare this add a new unit in the uses. That is the serializer. Oh, and it's already there. Even better. And here we will add one more attribute to the class, which will be the MVC name case, and we will pass the TMVC name case .nc lowercase. So that means that the the fields of this model will be exported in the JSON with the lowercase. Now it's running again the API. And then we go back to the view project, to the client VCL. And here in the controller, well, first of all, our fields were respecting the same thing from the database that were actually also reflecting the API. But now it will come with all lowercase, so it will not match anymore. So what we do, we rename the fields to lowercase. City, and note. Now all the fields are lowercase. And now in my load, well, we still use the as is, and now it still work because now it's also coming from there as lowercase, but we don't need it anymore. And now you don't have to use this. Okay, you can just make the data insert, no problem. Let's get all. Let's insert again. Let's make here. It will be the 4. And let's post it. So let's get all again. And now it's all there. Did you understand? Did you get the trick here? Okay, so this was the post. This was the insert. Let's test the update. Let's use this one that lost the information. It will be the 003. Let's fill the missing fields. Fill in the blanks. Post, and it's everything there. Okay, so now we have get, post, and put. So we are still missing the delete. Okay, let's make the delete method. Let's make a new procedure. Now it will be do delete data. And still passing the data set. Again, let's make this REST client variable. Do get REST client. Don't forget to free the objects you are instantiating in the beginning. Huh? But now the REST client, we also have the dataset delete. So it will send a delete request. So the resource is already there. Again, is the endpoint. And you have to pass the parameter you want to delete, because the API is expecting that. So with that, it will call the API in that endpoint with a delete verb. Let's see if it works. Let's get all again. But something important. We made the delete data, but we didn't connect this to the memory table, to the Fdm table. So on the event before delete, we see we do the do delete data, and we pass the data set. So now it will actually pass the data set and call the API to delete. Let's see if it works actually. Get all. Let's delete the record 4. Delete it. Yes. Get all. Yeah, it's not there. So that means it worked. Pretty cool, huh? So you can see that really simply we could abstract all the communication with the API in a few lines of code. So something that we can still improve here is that well, this ID is still fixed. So we can just create also this constant where we say the name of the ID field, right? So instead of typing this string where you can mistype something, or you can, I don't know, forget a name, you just pass key field. You see? And then everywhere you want to know the ID field, you just pass it. Let's try it again. Get all. Let's add a new one. Let's make the 4 again. Probably the ID will come 5 because it's an auto increment, if I'm not mistaken. Let's post it. Yep. Well, it's still 4. Okay, that's fine. So with that, we just finished our view with the VCL. So let's make now this view with the FMX. Let's create a new project. Let's add a new project to the group, and now it will be a multi-device application. Let's start with a blank one. So here we will follow the same steps. Add a button, add a memo. Let's put it here. And let's put the JSON content in a memo. But now we know, because we already have our code decoupled, right? Let's just put a text here. But now it's easy, right? We just add to the project. What we will add? The controller. Right? Let's use the controller. And we just have to call the same methods. We don't have to change anything. Let's do memo1.text get. Yeah, first of all, we have to instantiate the controller, of course. Let's declare a variable for the controller. And the user has to go to the interface section. We'll do that in a moment. Done. On create, let's instantiate the controller. Same thing from the VCL. And now to the memo1.text, we just assign the controller dot do get all. But yeah, now it's private. Let's just move it to public so we can call it from the form, just for the example. Get all. So with that, you can have the content of your JSON in your memo, in your FMX. See, there you go. Pretty cool, right? And since this is a FMX project, now you can compile for Linux, Android, Windows. It doesn't matter, Mac OS. So with that, you can put your client in any OS you want. Okay, guys? So that was the view creation using Red. Okay, guys? Thank you. So guys, a few final thoughts about what we had today. Today we developed an API client using Red. You saw that was fast, it was simple to do, and we used only like things that come already with a framework or with Delphi itself, like DB Navigator, DB Grid, and the utilities that the framework provides. So there was no like complicated classes or anything like that in the middle of things. We got to consume JSON really easily. We didn't care about transpiling or serializing JSON. The framework was taking care of that for us and converting that in a data set which we know how to work with. So that was really easy. And the high point here is that this kind of approach you can use to consume any API. It's not only the API that we created with the framework in Delphi. You can consume any API that responds to JSON, of course, that uses JSON as a communication standard. You can consume any API using this approach. Make a client for any API made in PHP, Node.js. It doesn't matter because JSON will be the same in any language. Okay, so tomorrow we will learn how to document this API, and we will make that using Swagger. Swagger is a standard for documenting APIs, and well, a lot of big companies are using that, and it's a real standard. So, and we will do that also using some utilities that the framework provides with just a few lines of code. Okay, I'm really excited for tomorrow. I hope you are as well. So see you there. Bye bye.